Hello and welcome to DEP Talk. Today I have a very special guest all the way from Ireland, Mr. Paul Cusack. How are you doing?
Hot, but I'm okay. We're having a small heat wave over here in Ireland.
Should be coming here in Sweden too. I'm looking forward to it. It's been cold for far too long.
Yeah, no, it's well overdue. It's well overdue.
You're a filmmaker.
Yes.
You're an actor.
Trying to be.
You're a writer. Trying to be. So tell me about how your filmmaking journey started.
The first thing I seen that made me want to do it was obviously GoldenEye
Oh, interesting.
in 1995. I was 8. That made me change the way I looked and acted as a human being. But my first time I wanted to pick up a camera was definitely around 2008, where I seen Tom Smith play James Bond.
For your information, Tom Smith was one of the first independent filmmakers who showed us that it was possible to make feature-length movies all your own and put them on YouTube and show us how we work within limitations and make our dreams be real. At least from a starting point of view, it was something that inspired so many of us who were aspiring and just didn't dare at the time to even go out to film with our friends or even upload anything on YouTube. So just as you were inspired, I was inspired by the same person.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons why I'm still going. Really, is Mr. Smith himself. I seen it and I was just like, that can't do that, can you? And stuff. But no, apparently I can. Yeah. I never heard of a fan film until then.
Yeah.
I never heard that you could actually make your own idea, take the character from whatever series you're doing or whatever movies or TV show you want and you like and you follow and all that, and actually make your own story and stuff. I was just like, that's bizarre.
I mean, same thing for me and my friend. We started out making Star Wars fan films.
Nice.
What was your first fan film?
It would be Risk, my very first Bond film. Before that, I know everyone says The Property of a Lady is a Bond fan film. It's not.
No.
It's nothing to do with Bond. It just shares a title.
Yeah, Property of a Lady is a title from one of the Bond books, but you decided to take the title, but make your own original character to accompany the title.
It was an American friend of mine. He came over one summer, as all Americans do come over here to Ireland around St. Patrick's time. And stuff. So we got talking and stuff, and we had a few drinks and stuff. It was more of a drunk idea than anything. As you do in Ireland. That's the best time for ideas, is when you're drunk.
Let your mind spin,
That and fighting, but we won't get into that. He actually said, why don't you just do something? Do anything. I said, I don't know what to do. I said, I'm not a writer. I have trouble writing. I have trouble reading. You know what I mean? So I'm not a writer. And he came up with the idea of John Soap. And he came up with the idea that it was meant to be, here's a little insight. Paulina, the girl in the film, was meant to be his girlfriend, not his sister.
Oh.
Yeah, but at the time I broke up with my girlfriend. So I had to switch to the sister. The way I like to see it is that I did a John Wick before John Wick came out.
Fair enough. And I think it does work better. I think it works better to have that personal connection, a family tie, to motivate your character, John Soap, in the short film.
Yeah, because your man texted me when the first John Wick came out, and he said, dude, they're after stealing our idea. And I said, what do you mean? He was like, this John Wick with Keanu Reeves in it. And I said, yeah, it looks like a good movie. He said, yeah, they're after stealing our idea. And I said, what idea? We don't have an idea. And he was like, Property of a Lady, dude. Your man wanted me to do English accent. I was just like, I don't know if I can do one, number one. And number two, people will think, yeah, he's just James Bond.
What made you propel into shifting gears then to making your own take on an already established famous characters such as Of course, 007 himself.
I wanted to attempt one. I wanted to make a bold move and attempt one. And at the time, I was still young-ish, and I was going to college for acting. Well, I made a lot of friends. I made a lot of friends which were automatically put into the film. The two lads that I'm chasing in the street, where Bond interrogates one, throws him up against the fence. The big tall fella. Yeah, he's he's a very nice man. But I was just like, do you mind if I throw you up against the fence? And he was just like, no, not at all, not at all. You're James Bond, of course, go ahead.
You'd be surprised how often that does happen, where even I accidentally miss my mark and hit someone for real when I'm filming action scenes, and I always just cut the take and go, no, we got to do that again. And the actor always tells me, no, why are you cutting? Why are you cutting? That was great. Yeah, because I feel so conscious. That would have been fair if the person told me, no, I don't want to do this. But
I've had a few of those. Oh no, I don't want to do it. But then they turn around, and when they see like a trailer of the film, they're just like, any chance I could be in it? And I'm just like, what happened to the whole I don't want to be in it? Oh well, I changed my mind.
so difficult to verbally communicate these ideas, these visions, because it's so emotional and so visual. What was your process like? I mean, you wrote the script for Risk, right?
No,
you didn't.
His name is Paul something. I don't know his surname. I forgot. I have a bad memory. But he's seen that I was trying to do one, and he offered me first of all, he offered me to write a big, huge blockbuster script. Now, the first draft of Risk, it wasn't called Risk, by the way. It was called something else. I can't remember the title of it. It was huge. Now, I'm talking big budgets, like over 100 million. And I said, dude, I'm doing this out of my pocket. I said, can you write just a little bit less of the explosions and the car chases and the amount of women that Bond was sleeping with in the first draft was ridiculous. And I was like, look, I'm charming, but I'm not that charming. So
don't cut yourself too short, sir.
No, I know my limits. But he dialed it down a bit, and what you see in the final product, which took way too long.
When did you start shooting?
Oh God, would be 2000, and I finished the Tomb Raider film we did, and right after that, that's when we started filming. So that would be 2000 and the start of 2012.
Oh, and you made a Tomb Raider fan film simultaneously as you were filming the Bond fan film.
Well, as I was working with Paul to do the script for Risk, yeah. I always wanted to do a Tomb Raider film. So Tomb Raider came out before Risk.
How did you make the Tomb Raider one? I don't think I've actually seen that one, by the way.
You haven't?
I haven't seen that one. No.
It's got like most views on my channel.
Oh, really? I've completely missed it. Yeah, well, tell me about Tomb Raider.
Because Tomb Raider, I have liked since the 90s. Myself and my sister used to play Tomb Raider. She used to be a big Tomb Raider fan until they did the reboots. And completely agree with her take on the reboots and all that. It's not Lara Croft at all. They butchered the character. They made her too soft. They made her less dependent on everyone else instead of dependent on her own wits and skills as a Tomb Raider. So we wanted to make our own. So there was no dialogue, kind of like room service. There was no dialogue except for like 2 words, and that was Sharon saying no. Who was played? Lara Croft, by the way, was played by my sister.
Okay.
And if when you do see Risk, you'll be like, oh, that's the girl from Property of a Lady. So,
well, look at that. How nice. Well, what you just said there does tell me what compels us to write our own iterations of these characters that we care so much about. When you said, well, the reboot just didn't continue the aspects that you loved about the character, the universe, the tone and feeling. And then you realize, well, I have ideas.
Yeah.
Why don't I just make them?
Yeah.
They'll be fun because I care and I'll pour my heart into it.
No, yeah, that's basically why I started doing this. It's like James Bond's been a big part of my life. He's made me. He had some help in shaping me the way to the man I am.
How did you decide I'll do my best to portray him? Because that's a daunting thing, to put yourself there on the screen.
I knew I could play the character because I've been playing him in my head since I was 8 years old. Even any chance that we got when we were as kids, it was always James Bond and whoever else. Even my best friend in school, I was always Bond. He was always the bad guy. Which didn't help that he looked a little bit like Sean Bean.
Oh,
We were kind of like always recreating GoldenEye.
That takes me back too, because we would always be filming it's my friend David or if it's my brother Emilio. One is the hero, one is the good guy, and I'm often the camera person, and I just fill in any other obscure role that would be needed. But it takes us back to that kind of time where we're on the playground. We're gonna take the camera and we're gonna make our vision come true to the best of our abilities. But actually going out and doing it for real is when you learn everything.
It's a lot harder to do it on your own than to do it is with someone else. With myself and my sister doing it, it was a lot easier because she was always behind the camera. Yes, I was mostly the director, but she did have her say on the matter. And the casino was the most difficult for me because I was trying to be James Bond, but I was also trying to keep everyone a little bit entertained, if you want and stuff.
I know what you mean by that. Yeah. Well, you're the production runner, and you have to manage everyone and make sure that people are doing well. And if it's independent, I mean, no one's getting paid. So in my experience, if when people are feeling bad and it's a rough day of filming, it's on your shoulders. You feel the responsibility for how people are feeling that day because they're here sticking their neck out for your film, and you don't want to let anyone down.
It was a lesson that I learned the hard way to doing stuff on your own because it's very tedious, it's very hard, and not having someone there to kind of see it in a different way. And I think that's why I'm so glad that myself and Mark are doing it together. And we're doing films together and Doctor Who and then eventually Bond. It's like it's nice to get someone else's perspective of a scene because you know what you want, but it'd be nice if someone else said, okay, well, what about this, or what about this shot, or this angle? And it'd be nice to do that. And I think that's where myself and Mark really, well, we work well together anyway. So, but myself and Mark, we really do work as one mind and stuff because some ideas that he has for a scene are kind of the exact same way that I would do it, which we do believe is very bizarre and very weird at times. That he has an idea and I'm laughing way there, and he's just like, "What are you laughing at?" I said, "Because that's exactly what I was about to say and stuff." So to try and find the perfect filming partner for yourself, because doing it on your own is not great. It's a lot of hassle, a lot of stuff that you may miss, and stuff you will probably repeat.
It's a support network, right? If you're alone in the dark, all the doubts hit you. I don't have too much knowledge about Doctor Who myself, but what compelled you and Mark to create your own fan series with this character?
Doctor Who is interesting because I'm still new to Doctor Who. It's Mark who's been a long time. Him with Doctor Who is like me with Bond. Mark always wanted to do, and he did try to do a Doctor Who fan film back in the day when he was in college. Sadly, it failed. I did the poster for him. He asked me to do a poster for him. This is before we started collaborating on that. And he never thought he could get a chance. And I felt bad. I was like, here I am. He's after working and helping me make James Bond. He helped me with I Expect You to Die, and he'll be helping me with Never Say Die. He's the writer for Never Say Die.
Mm.
And I know I haven't said this yet, but he's the sole director for Never Say Die.
Well, huge respect to him
Oh
for
no, I
helping you
trust
that way.
this. I trust this man 100%. I did a very crude and cheap version of the TARDIS landing on a planet, and some stuff was falling from the sky and all that kind of stuff. He absolutely loved it, and I was just like, right. I said, give me about 1 week or a few days, and he was just like, okay, for what? And I made up the title sequence, you know, the whole Doctor Who thing with the TARDIS flying and then the name of
Yeah.
the actor and all that. And I said, there you go, man. I said, there's the kick up the backside. I said, start writing your Doctor Who and stuff. And he was like, oh, no. I said, dude, write it and we'll do it. I wanted him to do it because I knew how much he loves Doctor Who, and I knew that he always wanted to do something like this. And I didn't care how long it would take to make. I always wanted to do one anyway. When I started watching Doctor Who, I said, oh, that'd be great to make a fan film. And then I was just like, I don't know how to write. I don't know how to write a script for a Doctor Who show, even a fan film. I was just like, this ain't happening with me.
What was your approach? Did you want to go more of a fun kind of route about it, classic, traditional, or you wanted to innovate?
Because I'm a Matt Smith fan. I like Matt Smith as the Doctor. He's my first Doctor that I've seen, and then I went back and I watched the rest. I know a lot more than I used to did.
Same here. I've learned from my friend Dennis because he's a big fan of the whole franchise. Although he started watching it from David Tennant onwards. He even cosplayed as Tennant once, and he made his own film that's sort of a fan film based on Doctor Who too. So I do know that it means a lot to him. No one's ever gonna knock on your door and say, "Here you go, you're gonna make this. Here's what you need to do. Let's start doing this," and motivate you. It doesn't really happen often. So often you have to do it yourself. So here you were, being a very good friend, being that person for him. And that's something that's really nice to hear. What he needed was just a one little push.
That's spot.
Well, it was more of a kick, but a push will do.
More of a kick.
So I've seen some of what you have done because the series isn't out fully yet. You have done some shorts, and you did the Great Delay, which was like a pre episode.
It was a the title is basically why it's the Great Delay. It's been delayed and stuff, and that title is just a little bit of a nod and a bit of a funny thing to say. Look, yes, it's delayed. Here you go. Here's a nearly an hour length break the wall episode. Now, the only sad part is, and me and Mark are still to this day, it's the only sad part that no one could tell the difference between myself and James.
Well, I gotta say, this character, James, he's the companion of the Doctor in this show. I love how the Doctor is so theatrical, he's so cinematic, he's just well articulate in his ways. And then you have James. You could look out the window and you can find this person. Someone who is portrayed more gritty, almost like a documentary on the approach on how you perform him. And then you have the Doctor, who is very much Shakespearean. And I think that's a fantastic idea to make it that way. So tell me about the creation of James, because I'm really curious.
Well, Mark already wrote this character for his fan film. A different actor was playing him at the time. He was just your generic type of character. He was a homeless man. He still is a homeless man. He wasn't as lavish or as out there as he is now. The thing that Mark wanted James to be in the series is to be the comedic effect. Always, like, the Doctor's always running. He's always running. He's doing this. He's on ventures and all this. Sarah, the other companion, she's the typical companion. Always there for the Doctor, always ready for a venture and where are we going to next, Doctor, and all this kind of stuff. And James is just like, no, I'm sitting here. I'm not moving. I'm having a glass of whiskey and I'm not doing nothing.
You know what the feeling is? He's very endearing. He's so unapologetic about, this is who I am, this is what I do, and I'm not going to pretend. And I think that's what endears me to this character, and I'm just excited to see more.
We are trying our best. You will see it this year.
You had to dub the whole project,
Yeah, I still have to do about 90% of it.
We know how that's like. We dubbed the whole Il Santo Veleno film.
It's not great.
It's difficult.
Yes.
What's like the thing that you take away from the production of Doctor Who where you say, okay, this is why it was worth it, and this is what I learned?
The thing that I will take away from Doctor Who is not the ADR. That's just because we don't have great equipment at the moment.
I understand. One day though.
Mark has made me. Well, I'm going to correct myself here now because he will kill me. I offered to do all the editing and the special effects. I wouldn't let anyone else do it. I was very particular. I want to do this. I am not having anyone else doing the editing, doing the visual effects, doing nothing. It has to be me. He was willing to pay someone to do it, but I was just like, no, I'm standing my ground here, dude. You want me to be part of this? I'll gladly be part of it, but I am doing the editing. I'm doing everything else. And he's like, all right, calm down. Okay, fine. But the best thing about it is that it's pushed me out of my comfort zone. There's stuff, and you will see right off the bat, there's stuff in this that I would never in a million years thought I'd have been able to do. There's a specific scene in episode 1, and you'll know when you see it.
All right, I'll be looking for it.
I came up with the idea. Mark wrote it down. He was like, all right, I don't know how you're going to do this, but okay. So he wrote it down. We filmed it and everything. And during up to the filming parts, he was just like, so, how's the scene coming along that you want to do? And I was like, oh yeah, sure, yeah, great, awesome. And stuff. And every time he asked me, I was just like, oh yeah, it's all up here. I know what I want to do. I hadn't a clue what I wanted to do.
We learn by having to get out there. Sometimes it's a leap of faith, a complete leap of faith. And we learn so much.
When I got the first edit or the first draft of the scene done, I just took a moment and I was just like, did I just do that? Did I just pull that off? And then I screamed and I ran into Mark. We were in Sligo at the time. We were staying at our friend's Paddy. He lives in Sligo. That's where most of it is filmed. It's down in Sligo.
Mhm.
I ran in and I was like, dude, look. I said, there you go. And he was blown away. He couldn't believe it. He said, I really didn't actually think you'd be able to do it. And I said, no, never doubt me. I did tell him in the end that, I was very unsure if I could do it at all. Yeah, your stuff is looking fantastic. May I just say that?
You think so?
Oh, it's looking fantastic. Like even the screenshots you put out, I'm just like, Jesus, man, this fella's very professional. He's like,
Oh, well,
this is like cinematography. It's like you've been doing it with a big ass budget.
Wow, you're so kind, Paul, to say that. I mean, this is what we were talking about. This is the trial and error of everything, right? Like,
yeah.
I'd say that most of what I do is an experimentation of a genre, of a style, or an instinct. It's an idea that hits you, and you go, well, I should just go and make it because this idea is just growing and it's consuming my mind, and what can I do, right? Like the only way to see how I can make this idea be real is by just putting myself out there and attempting something with it. It's really kind of you to say, because it's been a hurdle actually to kind of fight that word, professional. When do you make the transition from being amateur or being independent to professional and a master?
I don't know, because I don't consider myself professional because I'm still learning. Like I know I've had people in the past that I've had great experience with and stuff, and that's because I was doing it on my own at the time. They call me unprofessional, and I said I never said I was. I said I'm very much an amateur, and I probably still am. Like I've been doing this nearly 20 years now, which I should be professional at it, but I'm not. There's still stuff that I'm learning, particularly with camera and the way to kind of use it and kind of like do like certain shots and stuff. Like
Mhm.
the Doctor Who thing that we're filming next week. There's a lot of
Yeah.
those. There's a few camera things that I've been seeing on like other films and even the new series of Doctor Who. That just came out. I'm just like, oh yeah, I want to try that just to see.
I think most people look at the equipment, look at the technology that you are able to use in a practical point of view. And they look at that and instantly judge whether something is worth watching or not, because people have a difficult looking past if the sound is annoying, if the image isn't too clear, if it's out of focus. We understand how difficult it is to make all of that function. We know how difficult it is to make that work. We have this mutual understanding, but having to learn each department just on your own. Just like, how does sound work? How does cinematography work? How does lighting work? And how do you do writing for a scene? I mean, tell me again, what's the length of a Doctor Who episode, for example?
I was very surprised with the length of The Great Delay.
1 hour, right?
Yeah, almost an hour. Yeah, 50-something minutes.
Paragraph in a script can tell you he walks through the door. Once you're there at the right location, the doorway might be so fun to work with that the sequence could be more, and it could be atmospheric, and could be something that draws you in a different way. And then suddenly the little paragraph on the script is a minute on the screen. Sometimes a dialogue scene that's a page could definitely be 1 minute on screen. And your script teachers in film school will tell you to always calculate the runtime with the script in mind. Of course, that's a blueprint. But, there are definitely directors who write for themselves, and they write differently because they know, well, I'm going to follow this script. If you write for someone else, if you're a writer for hire, then yes, you have to be very precise and not so overly descriptive as a novella writer. But when we write for ourselves, we can definitely bend those rules, because it's a matter of you understanding what you're supposed to do with it, right?
It's one of the things I've learned when I'm working with Mark is that, yes, I have declared him as the writer for everything that I'm doing from now on. I can't really see anyone else writing any of my stuff because he's like me in a way with the editing. He's so precise, and he's so particular about what goes into the script, and I think it's fantastic. Any script that he writes, I have actually praised him, and he doesn't think he's that great at it. He said, "Oh, maybe I could have worked better." I was like, "Dude, no, shut up. Just it's fantastic." You know what I mean? And stuff. But when it comes to like little details, like he writes down stuff. He writes down a page of dialogue with a lot of action and all that kind of stuff. I'm looking at it and I'm already editing it in my head when I'm reading it. That's the way I work. I've edited and I have it, and I'm watching it on this in my mind and stuff. So I already know even before we film, and it's the same way when we're doing Doctor Who. I knew how I wanted to film some of those scenes, particularly the scenes that I'm not in. I was the director on them. I knew exactly from just reading, just going through the script. I knew how I wanted a shot. And Mark was so grateful and so understanding when it came to like letting me try to do it my way and letting me do it my way and stuff, particularly with shots. Now he did come in, he was like, what if we shot this angle and this angle? I was like, yeah, no problem. And there was moments where we shot it twice. We shot my version and then we shot his version. And whichever one we liked whichever one we liked together, we'd use that and we put it into the actual episode. And it has happened. When I'm reading off someone's script, it doesn't matter if it's my own or Mark's or whoever's. I'm already in the process of editing it.
You're seeing the images in your head. You're seeing the tempo and the flow and movement. That is a beautiful thing, because you have a vision, right? And in film school, you're also taught to have your usual coverage make sure you got the master, make sure you get the close-up, make sure you get all the angles that you need. And I've found it sometimes to be too much to film everything around, because some people want to edit a scene down, or you want to change the pace later in editing. And I understand the idea of film in editing. As you say, you make it 3 times in the script writing, in the filming, in the editing. But when you have it so clear in your head, editing flows so differently. And when you have to, sometimes force yourself to, do all the angles, and you have all these options just in front of you in the editing table, it could become too much, because then you also feel like, why did I spend my time filming so much stuff when I'm just gonna ultimately use 1 or 2 things? What do I do with the rest of the footage? So I think that filming with a purpose in mind, it shows you, I'm setting this camera up with a purpose in mind. That is very evident that, all right, let's just see how this plays out, because clearly you know what we're doing. I think that's something that should be respected way more often.
For me, it's like there's one good take in every shot, particularly my own stuff and now with Doctor Who. It's always the last shot that's perfect. It's always been the last thing that we film, because the other ones, they're great and stuff might happen in the first 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 takes, no matter how long, or in our case 45, particularly with me on the camera. The last few, or the last 2, or the last 1, that's the one. That's the shot. We filmed a scene that it's the first time that the Doctor and my character James gets to actually talk, to actually get to know each other. We're outside, it's an outside shot. I have all these angles that I want to do. I've already edited in my head. Mark is there, he's learning his lines. I'm trying to learn my lines and stuff. And we have this great view of a mountain in Sligo. There's a few lines in it. Now, this take is, it's getting late. The sun is going down. The lighting is dimming. I have a glass of whiskey, real whiskey, by the way, that's in every shot. If you've seen the glass of whiskey in the episodes, it's real whiskey. Hey, look, I like whiskey, so I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to say no.
Well, there you go. You add it to the script, so you can. That's fine. Yeah.
I have a glass of whiskey now. At the same time, I'm developing a chest infection. So there I was with chest infection coming up. Didn't know about it at the time. So we were outside, we were filming. It was a cold December. Mark was saying his lines. I was meant to say something about the location.
Okay.
I take a sip of whiskey. The whiskey went down the wrong pipe. I took into the fits of coughing. Mark, love him. Absolutely love him that he did this. He stayed in character.
Yep.
And he said, "Are you all right, James?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, sorry, doctor, sorry, yeah. A bit of the old whiskey went down the wrong pipe." And we continued the scene. It's one of those rare moments that I didn't anticipate, Mark definitely didn't anticipate, where something happened in real life, not in script mode, but in real life, and we kept the shot.
Yeah, and that can't be replicated, because that's just natural. And it's wonderful when it works for the context you are creating for the project you're creating. I did a movie, my exam project. There's a scene where 2 characters in a car are supposed to be singing the same song together. And what happens in the last take that we got is that our main actor actually, for a second there, had like a moment of forgetting the actual lyrics of the song. So his co-star, Roberto, was like, "Come on, you know the song, right?" And he's like, and then it comes to him, and then they sing together. And that made it so much better, because we didn't quite realize it until we saw the difference, is that he doesn't have it in just ready to go in his head. And that's more realistic, right? Like it takes a second for him to realize, oh, that's how that song goes. I remember it. I do know that song, instead of instantly just bursting into the fanfares. Sometimes it stems from you tell people, okay, let's do a last take. Well, sometimes that means people just really get ready to do their best. And although you don't want to pressure anybody, sometimes you need a first take to just see how it plays out, see how it works for the lens. Technical rehearsal in a way for everyone's sake.
There is something that I'm trying to cut back when I do play James. Whenever Mark, or the Doctor, might I say, is speaking and he's describing something, it's a subconscious moment that happens with me. I'm there, I'm stuck in the character, I'm trying to understand what the Doctor's trying to say, also trying to be a drunk, a typical Irishman, as we say. The Doctor says something. Now, if it's something like, oh, something bad happened, poor old Sarah got her leg chopped off or something, and James just pipes up and he's like, oh, Jesus, that's sad. Mark breaks character immediately, because it's just like, it's something that just pipes up. I don't mean to do it sometimes, but there are occasions where Mark just can't look at me. And he said, because if I look at you, I'm going to break character, I'm going to roar into laughter.
You know what it is sometimes? If something is so good, creatively speaking, it can make us go into that moment of laughter because we find joy in it. So it's not like we're laughing at something being ridiculous or necessarily funny. Sometimes we're laughing because, wow, that's good. Wow, that is really good. And I feel so happy about it. And then you don't want to ruin a take. I mean, you do your best. Absolute best.
Yeah, no, I don't want to ruin a take for poor old Mark, because he's got a lot on his shoulders and stuff. But when it's just something, I don't know what it is in me that's just like, oh, jeez, that's very bad, Doctor. I'm so sorry.
James is reacting too. I mean, he's listening. He's got to take in the words. So, like, even if he doesn't say anything particular, just you listening to him, you believing him, and we seeing that reaction. That's good too. And that's important, I think. If he's in awe, right? If he's in awe of the adventures of the Doctor.
James is a character that has never seen anything like this before. And when the Doctor comes to Ireland and he lands in Sligo, he picks up James as a companion. He tells James that he's a Time Lord. He can regenerate himself, change faces. And James is just like, what, Jesus, that's mad, Doctor. And stuff, and he's just like, wow. He's just like, just this fella is he's either nuts or he's telling the truth. One or the other, like.
Yeah.
So, and James,
that's interesting, right?
And the way I see it is that James is not trying to be mean to the Doctor by saying, you're either a little bit screwed up here or you're actually telling me the truth.
What do you think James leans on, though? Does he lean more towards, you know what, I want to go on an adventure, I want to do something different with my life? Or is it more like I'm having a friend here and I'm enjoying that time and whatever he says?
I don't want to say too much because Mark told me the moment James does believe the Doctor. This dude's more fucked up than I am. And I'm an alcoholic living on the streets. So when it comes to the Doctor, there is a certain moment in the show where James is just like, okay, he's actually telling the truth.
You've been working on this for a few years, and I know the feeling. It's not easy. And it's soon here.
Yeah, just hold on a little bit longer. It is coming. We really are trying our best to try and get this out this year. There was a time there, last year maybe, that we just thought that, is this ever going to happen? I gave Mark the boot off backside to do this, and it's his passion and it's his baby, and he loves this character so much. I'm not going to let this fail. Not just because I want to see people, the stuff that I do, but I want people to see that this character that Mark loves so much and has a big impact in his life, and this is his version of the character. I want people to see that, and I want people to understand that this man loves this character, and he's got a passion for filmmaking. And not only that, but I want people to see that his writing is fantastic.
Mm.
The stuff that he's writing. I read a script, I think it was 2-3 weeks ago, and it made me cry.
Wow.
It literally made me bawl my eyes out. The stuff.
Common theme that keeps on coming up here in this episode is trial and error, learning by doing, and we can all study theory as much as we want, but understanding the practical nature of it is vastly different. Yeah.
You can read a book as much as you want. You can watch a YouTube video as much as you want. But if you don't go out there and do it yourself, you're never going to learn.
And some people just wait and wait and wait until they have all the technical equipment in front of them, all the technical specs, everything that you could use to make it look perfect when it comes to an objective point of view. But the sincerity in your storytelling, like the beating heart of it all, is it ever truly objective? Because that part of it matters the most. And I think the people who just wait and wait and wait, it's great patience, right? First of all, great patience to be able to do so. But for us who just feel like we have to do this because this is who we are and we can't help ourselves, we need to do this. I think there's a beauty in understanding you created this, you made this happen. You actually stood up from your chair, you got out there in the world and you put that camera up there, you performed this, you made it be real with the means you had. And I think that's beautiful in itself, that you made it become something more than just a thing in your head. Considering it's not, Hollywood or whatever, it doesn't need to be. Who do this?
Oh, well, thank you very much. I believe in, if you have an idea and you have the means to do it, go out and do it. Doesn't matter what it is. If it's a film, if it's to write a book, whatever you want to do, go out and do it. Take a leap of faith, because you never know.
What does filmmaking and storytelling mean to you as a person?
Well, it means that you can inspire people. You are using your inner child to tell a story. You are using your imagination to tell a story. And you have been bold enough and been brave enough, in some sense, to tell a story. It doesn't matter what story you tell, science fiction, action, real or not. You want people to learn and to understand and to listen. My best learning experience in filmmaking is to always seek out help. Doesn't matter what it is. If you are stuck on doing something, ask someone. Ask someone for help. It doesn't matter what it is. If you're stuck on writing, find someone that can help you. Take a leap, like I said, take a leap of faith. Take a leap of faith in pushing your boundaries just a little bit. At the end of everything, you might actually be a little bit more appreciative of that you did.
There it is. I mean, amen to that. Paul, where can we find you? Where can we find you in the sphere of the internet?
If you go to MT Productions, you'll find Doctor Who. If you want to look at my ugly face, you can go to Cusack Studios or Cusack Productions.
You're a wonderful guy, wonderful lad, and it's a blast talking to you. And I'll be linking the channels down below. for you to check out Paul's work. And I can't wait to see it and talk to you again and collaborate soon enough.
Thank you very much for having me.
And thank you for watching.